Well, hi, I'm Scott Griffith, and welcome to another edition of Griffith Realty's Land and Legacy. I have, of course, with me my sister and partner, Carol Griffith, the Vice President of Griffith Realty. And today we have a special guest because Carol's a county commissioner. I'm going to allow her to introduce her because they're good friends. Carol?
Well, I'm very pleased today, this afternoon, to introduce Kathleen Kline-Hudson. So she's the director on Livingston County Planning Commission. And so she wears a lot of hats, and you have a lot of great designations next to your name, too, which I can't begin to know what they all are, so you can tell us that, Kathleen. But I'm very pleased to say that Kathleen handles a lot of great things for Livingston County and the residents, and she has been on the team for 32 years. So she's a wealth of knowledge. Today, we are, Scott and I always talk about Livingston County and some of the wonderful reasons that we live here for generations and why people move here to Livingston County because of the quality of life and so many hidden gems that we have in the county that people move here to enjoy. So I thought maybe you could tell us a little bit about our parks and our open spaces. You're the expert in that area, and I think it's fascinating. In particular, there's 3 parks that come to mind for me, and that would be Lutz Park, the northern part of the county, and how it became part of county property. And then the dog park is, a lot of our buyers are quite interested in the dog park.
Okay.
And everybody's got a dog nowadays.
Yeah,
thanks
it seems like
the pandemic.
And the most recent park that your team opened at Fillmore Park. So I thought maybe if we could talk about those things. It certainly is a selling point for Scott and I when we're showing new residents to be here in Livingston County. We like to point out that everybody's into recreation nowadays. So
Yeah, and one of the things we found is that not a lot of people know about the 2 county parks.
yes.
We've got there's a 5-year parks and open space plan that kind of lays out what your team is going to be doing over the next 5 years.
Sure.
And it makes you eligible for state grants, like the Natural Features Trust Fund. And in our plan, actually, we're in the process of updating the plan. So we have the survey out right now, and 2 of the questions are, have you ever heard of Lutz County Park? Have you ever heard of Fillmore County Park? And, that's going to tell us whether or not there's good awareness or if we have to do, a little bit more to get the word out.
Sure. What size are our parks?
Well,
Approximately. You don't have to be.
yeah. The first park that we got was bequeathed to the county by Owen Lutz, and it was in 2005. And it's 300 acres, but we're currently only using 100 acres for recreation. But that was a really cool story because Owen Lutz was a farmer by trade. He knew, he had a Christmas tree farm that a lot of people remember, fondly from their youth. And he knew an awful lot about botany, I guess you could say. And he planted all kinds of species of trees on his land.
Nice.
And particularly the 100-acre park that we're using.
Yeah.
And put in a man-made pond, and he just made it really, a delight of different kinds of environments that you walk through as you go through the land. But it's in a very rural part of Livingston County. It's in Deerfield Township, right up by the Genesee County and Livingston County line, and it's on a little, farm lane, Lutz Road. And currently Owen Lutz had talked with the county administrator at the time, Bob Block, about bequeathing his land when he passed to the county. And so because he thought about this during his lifetime, he was able to walk the entire land with Bob Block and other people from county administration and kind of let them know what was there, what these, hidden gems were, things that he had created
That cool?
and planted. Yeah.
So from Howell, how long does it take to get up to it?
It takes about 20 minutes.
Okay. I mean, as people are asking where it is, I just wanted people to get a vision. It's not like, in your backyard exactly. You got to go a ways, but yeah. Makes it
No.
nice.
And it's well marked now too, because I know I visited a couple of times, and if I didn't know, generally speaking, where I was going, I would have thought I missed it or didn't see it. But it's well marked,
Yeah, the road
Yeah.
commission worked with us to put up
which
signs.
is
Nice,
great.
nice.
Yeah, so there's directionals, and because the road, like you say, Lutz Road is almost like a 2-track. It's not heavily traveled.
Yeah, right. Well, it is, Cohocton Road is the way you access Lutz Road.
Is it? Okay. Yeah.
So that's, a little bit more of
Sure.
a primary roadway.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful piece of property. I think you and I have walked it before. I know some of the commissioners had walked it too. It's really, really pretty
Nice.
and very natural. And it's a great place if you got a dog to walk your dog.
Oh,
and,
definitely.
What do you think will happen to the other 200 acres? Is there like a plan to go more on it or something? Or
Well,
what?
actually, right now, the Lutz Farmstead is on that other acreage.
Oh, there you go.
And so we have a family that lives in that home, and they're the caretakers of the park.
Nice.
They open up the gates every
Nice.
morning and close them every evening and give us real eyes on the park. Actually, we're fortunate to have that at both county parks.
Yes.
But in addition to that, he bequeathed these other rental homes that are along Cohocton Road. So there's quite a lot that's generating income, for sustaining that park.
Nice. Yeah, because that seems, and just to divert, I mean, that seems to always be the big issue when people donate property or things to municipalities is how do you do the long-term maintenance on it, whether it's vacant land or anything else. So to have something established like that is well thought out, because not all gifts are that well thought out, and it causes sometimes more problems than good.
Absolutely.
That's
Yes.
great.
Yeah. So right now it's pretty undeveloped.
Okay.
It's mostly a passive park. That's what Owen Lutz wanted.
Sure.
So there's quite an elaborate trail system that actually Mr. Lutz had laid out. So, I mean, he made it very easy for us. But we've got that with benches along the way, some nature interpretive signs.
So here's a
that's-
question, because state land you can hunt on, a county park, no,
No.
that's fine. I'm just curious. I mean, somebody
Well-
might ask that question. A lot of people are always looking for hunting land, so it's good to talk about.
Well, this is the complicating feature about that, is that the Oak Grove State Game Area abuts
No,
Lutz County Park.
okay.
But we have an agreement with DNR, and there's this easement that they can travel through Lutz County Park straight down into the game area.
All right. I'm just curious. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fascinating.
But there's signage and there's fencing, that kind of.
Got to delineate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Good.
Yep. And did you know there was a major motion picture made there?
No.
There was. I saw it.
What was it called?
Well, that's the hard part.
It's so major, nobody knows the name. We'll never forget this motion picture, whatever it was called.
It's a really long name. Let me find it. It is like the psychology of. Well, okay. The star was Benicio del Toro. Do you know him?
Sadly, I don't. I know.
Okay.
I'm sure I'm the only person in America.
Well, it's something like the psychology of a Plains Indian. But anyway, it is a movie that is about the first diagnosed case of post-traumatic stress
Really?
disorder. Am I saying that right?
PSD.
PS. Oh, I did it wrong. I tend to do that.
PSD.
Yeah.
So-
Yes. And so, anyway, I went out there and watched the filming of it.
Isn't
And it
that
was
cool?
fascinating.
Very
is
interesting.
fascinating. That's cool.
Yeah. Very
That's great.
interesting.
And so where's the other park?
The other park that we just opened during the pandemic, 2020, is Fillmore County Park, and that's at the corner of Kellogg and McClements Road in Genoa Township.
Yep.
So it's a much more populated area.
It's about a half mile down McClements from Hacker, so you don't spend too much time. Well, you're on dirt for a half mile, but that's about it. Yeah. So.
Exactly. Or you can come off of Grand River.
Sure.
It's only
And
a
come
mile
Kellogg,
north.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yes. Yep. And again, we have lots of partners. We have a person who lives in Mr. Fillmore's homestead who watches over the park. And then we have Our Lady of the Fields Park right across McClements. It was formerly known as Camp Chaldean.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the way I remember it. I didn't know it was renamed, but yes. So there you go.
Yeah, yes, a Catholic camp for children
Yes,
during the
yeah.
summertime. And they're great partners. They also help
That's
us
great.
with Eyes on the Park. And
Yeah, that's nice. And so since I've been around it, I mean, you get out there and it feels parkish. You've got like you say, the private park to the south, but you have then your park, and it feels like you're in the country. You don't have that creeping urbanism feel or anything. It's very nice.
No, yeah, you do. But it's a little bit more of an active park.
Yes.
It's got a sports field.
Okay.
We haven't programmed activities on it yet, but we're working with the Howell Area Recreation Association on that.
Nice.
And it has a trailway. It has a restroom.
Yeah. Kind of a big deal, parks. Only if you want to stay.
I mean, it's just kind of a traditional county park.
Sure,
It's small, but it's very well used.
Sure, that's great.
And you've
then-
got some great plans for that too. I know Jack LaBelle was very beloved, long-standing commissioner, and I know there was some naming opportunities there that the filmers wanted to see
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
take place.
It's 198 acres.
Okay.
And right now there's active recreation on more than half of it.
Wow.
But we've got plans for the whole entire thing. I mean, we're right now working on a partnership with the Mountain Biking Association to do a mountain
Wouldn't
bike
that
trail.
Oh, that'd be
Cool.
great.
Yeah, nice. That's great. And then where's the dog park? I guess I don't know.
The dog park is in the city of Howell,
Okay, yeah.
and it's right on the county property on the West Complex.
Nice.
It's
yeah.
right near
I
911.
do know where it
and-
is there, yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so,
fun.
that's
Well,
been popular.
I know I don't get by that one as often. I know coming across Commerce Road in Milford, I see their dog park all the time, and it's very active, and I know everybody's got dogs, so it's nice to have everybody know where the dog park is, because it's fun to be able to take your dog out and let it run.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
always see people there when I go by, so it's been an
Nice.
active.
And it's got,
It's a
you know,
nice
the
little-
standard features, the part for the large dogs, part for the small dogs. It's owned and operated by the city of Howell and Friends of the Countryside Veterinary
Sure.
Dog Park.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's right by the animal control
It is,
Right.
yes. So you actually pass the dog park if you're going to go and adopt another dog.
Yeah. Go get yours out.
Yeah.
Try them out there at the park.
And as I understand it, they run some of the shelter dogs out in the park.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's a nice cooperative,
Yeah.
It is nice.
agreement.
And so we were talking about earlier, and because it's new news, is that one of the things that you've been working on, which is I was saying is so cool, is a dark skies designation for your park, right? And which one is that? Lutz, the one
That's for Lutz.
North, yeah, because I was mentioning that I know of a couple state ones, one up at Mackinac and one up in near Harrisville, that are both dark skies, and it's a big deal because people who want to be able to go out and look at the stars and actually see the Milky Way, which you don't see much anymore unless you're in a very dark area, it's a spectacular to go out to those. And so I was just listening not long ago because of some promotion going on. And so there's a couple, you're going to have those parks open late, or that park open late, to be able to see the dark skies, I understand, a few times a year. Is that correct?
Through the
Right.
month of April, isn't it? Is this weekend part of that?
This
it is. I think it goes through the end of April, maybe.
right is Dark Sky International Week.
Yeah, and it's kind of sneaking up on us here. I think this is the last weekend in April.
Right, and we've had the park open this whole week.
Nice.
There's already signage up there that tells you when the gates will be open all night, and Dark Sky not a week was one of them.
Sure.
And then I think it's the first Saturday of every month. It's open for extended hours.
That'll be fun. I mean, people, I'm sure listeners are going to ask, well, what's the significance? But if you're really like into astronomy and you want to get a telescope out, or you just enjoy seeing the absolute beauty of the sky, and the one thing I have observed when I've been out at night in those type of areas is how much our sky is moving all the time. There are so many now satellites and things moving across the sky where I suspect when our grandparents were living here, that wasn't true. Now you go out there and there's always something moving across the sky, and you don't see it when I'm down in the Brighton area, and you don't see those things until you get out there, So
Yeah, being in an agricultural area, there's very little light pollution.
Yeah.
And we haven't gotten the designation yet because it's a high standard that you have to meet, in order to get it. But our application has been in about 3 years.
Wow.
And it involved, going out there with a light meter and taking readings, just all kinds of things in place. Like putting that signage in was one of the requirements. Putting the word out, so this is perfect, that we're letting people know.
Yeah.
Right.
So glad we could help.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool.
So we'll let you know when we get that designation, but if we do, it's my understanding we'll be the first county park in the whole state of Michigan.
That's really neat.
Oh, that's cool.
That's really
That's
neat.
so cool.
Great to work toward that. Yeah.
So, so your role as the head of the whole county planning commission, I like to say you have a global vision of the county and the plan versus our isolated or individual parochial units. And so one of the thoughts I had, and I just want you to share your opinion, my thought is that the big conversation about attainable housing and workforce housing is the fact that it has to be clustered for you to be able to get density so a developer can bring the price down to build those homes. So, do you think that by creating more park space that's a good quid pro quo for the clustering, or you think they're just not a related issue? You're doing the planning for the whole county, so you have the best vision of where I'm going with this. Is that a good thing? Is that really, those two have a nexus, or should I just sort of like not be on this chain of thought?
Well, I think there is a connection. I don't know about quid pro quo because we shouldn't be building attainable housing on, lands that are rich in natural features anyways.
Right.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not creating parks to mitigate, development because there's a suitable place for development.
Sure.
And one of the things we've got going right now in the county planning department is we just put out a new document called High Quality Natural Areas Assessment. And it's a second version. The first one was done in 2004, where we took aerial photography and mapped out where all the high quality natural areas are in Livingston County.
Yes. Yeah.
And so having done it now again, 17 years later, we were able to see those lands that had been developed on.
Okay.
And there's a whole methodology to it. You get more points for wetlands, say, or if it abuts other parkland.
Okay.
Because that's creating a larger contiguous space for flora, fauna, wildlife.
Makes sense, right? Wildlife can move around. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we really are studying that issue.
Sure.
For sure.
So, and so I know for over the years that you've had master plans of how you would recommend growth throughout the county based upon, you name it, from housing to industrial, whatever, corridors also. You have probably back to my global thing, you have a better vision of the entire sewer districts and water districts that cross over boundaries, invisible boundaries to most people, but the county and township boundaries and municipal boundaries, so that you know where things are and all that. And so I know the process, but I just wanted to share with the listeners. So historically, what I understand, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is somebody comes into their municipal unit, say I have this idea for how I want to use my property. They match it against some planning that they've done. But almost in every case, right, they now, after they go through that stage, and let's say it's maybe it's acceptable, maybe they don't pass judgment, I don't remember, they send it on to your organization, and you all look at it too, in light of the bigger vision, right? Right.
The local municipalities have home rule. So the the process starts and ends with them.
Right.
But according to state statute, they're mandated to send any master plan changes, any rezonings, or any language changes to their zoning ordinance to the County Planning Commission. And then we do an advisory review, staff review of the changes that they are making. It's voted on by the Planning Commission, and then we send it back to them for the final decision at their Board of Trustees, if it's...
Whatever kind of the governance board they have, they call them all different,
Well, actually, we only oversee these changes for the 16 townships.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the cities and villages.
I wouldn't have known that subtlety. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, you touched on it, your advisory. So at the end of the day, it's still up to them to make a decision. Is that correct? I mean, they can go against your decision. Is that correct?
Right. I think it's good arrangement.
Is it? Yeah, I just going to ask you. So how does that feel?
Yeah. Well, I don't think that, we're not as mired in the day-to-day stuff that the planning commissions are at the local level. They know the people out in the audience. It's hard not to be influenced, by the emotion that you're seeing that people have about land surrounding them. Mm-hmm. I don't mean we're callous at the county level, but we're a little bit more removed from that.
Sure.
And not only that, but if their local planner has been drafting language, they've been staring at it for quite a while, and we're able to look at it with a fresh eye. And I honestly feel that they make a lot of the changes that we suggest.
That's great. I mean, that means it works.
Yeah, right. And a lot of times we're working on it together,
Sure.
Say I'll write a review and there's certain holes that I might see in it or whatever. I will call up their planner and we'll discuss it back and forth, and so that they understand, where I'm coming from. And
nice. Yeah. And so how often is the county's master plan updated, reviewed? I assume it's continual to some degree, but I mean, there's probably something regulatory I don't know about.
There is. Actually,
there always is.
5 years.
There we go. I know there's something. There's always a regulatory something.
Which comes up, so much quicker than you ever think it will.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. So we're in the process of looking at doing some small, minor updates to our 2018 Livingston County Master Plan.
And then how much, my mind's running all over the place. So that I'm thinking zoning, but I'm also thinking so much of, is also nowadays influenced by where sewer and water. Are you involved in the planning for sewer and water districts, or is that something separate?
It is. It's something separate.
As well as roads. That impacts then your plan, because if you've got sewer and water, somebody just got assessed a whole lot of money to put in. They have to get more money for that property for density. So now what happens, right? So, yeah.
Well, actually, that's another distinction between the local level and county level, because at the local level, they're looking at the utilities. They're looking at the roadways and, getting all of the traffic engineering reports. We are not.
Okay.
We have like a week to review everything. And so we're only looking at the land use issue and whether or not it is consistent with their master plan and their zoning ordinance.
Fascinating. Yeah,
the use is permitted.
I didn't understand the separation. That's great. It's great. So what other things, Kelly? You have anything?
Well, it's just, your department is a department of 3. With a huge responsibility that covers all of Livingston County. So I think, what comes out of that little powerhouse is pretty amazing. And the relationships that you have and you must have with the townships and the cities and all of that. I think you've done such a great job. And, of course, 32 years at it, you're an expert. So
it makes you a really good expert.
Well, we try to work on it. We've got a brown bag lunch series that we do.
Yeah.
That is planning and zoning oriented, but it can be all different kinds of things. Like we had one on dark sky. Yeah. But that's something we invite all the local planning commissioners to, and the supervisors, managers, all government personnel, just to keep that relationship going, you know.
And you have a newsletter too.
Yeah.
And I know that's been very helpful to realtors, and we've passed that along to the association just to keep our professionals up to date on what you're doing and the great resources that are available to them.
Well, we got to thank you for a wonderful job you've been doing, master planning our future here.
Thank you.
So we're getting close to the end. So Carol will attest to this. I do this to all our guests. I know you live in Howell, which is wonderful. So we always like to ask our guests who are local because we figure it just is interesting. We always ask you, what do you like to do in your spare time in the county? And what is your favorite place to go to have dinner?
Oh, well, I am an avid kayaker.
Really?
And I love to kayak on the Huron River. And I've kayaked from Milford down to Ypsi.
Wow.
Not all at one time, but
you can. It just takes the full day, I think.
Right. And I've had lots of
way.
adventures along the way.
Yes.
Well, that's great. Yeah, that's one of those things you can do in this county, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so where do you go for dinner then afterwards?
Well, I have lots of places I like, but Stillwater here in Brighton is one of my favorites.
Well, that's good.
It's
good choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's hard to get good seafood, and they have it.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
And
a great view.
Since this is our podcast, our office is across the street from it. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Might as well take advantage of that moment. Well, thank you so much,
Thank you, Kathleen,
for being
taking
our
time.
guest. We
Yeah.
appreciate it very much. And
Most
thank you for
welcome.
those of you who have been here listening to our podcast on land and legacy. And we hope you hear us again. Thank you.